This week's podcast, we're just thrilled to be joined now by the Associate Athletics Director and the Director of Cameron Institute on campus, Dr. Marissa Nichols. How you doing?
Thank you, Justin, so much. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on with you and appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, it was fun to have you on in the halftime show a couple of weeks back, and it was a conversation that I wanted to make sure we got fully into because what the work that is being done at the Cameron Institute is super important, especially now in the modern college athletics. So I guess for the first just kind of question, just kind of give us a blanket of what the Cameron Institute does and the importance of it for the student athletes.
Absolutely. The Cameron Institute's main purpose is to support our student athletes in reaching their full potential at Cal, helping elevate their performance, and really positioning them to thrive for a lifetime. And we have been so lucky to have the generosity of Brian Cameron, who started this off in 2019 with a generous $13 million gift, also supported by Cal Athletics. And really, the Institute's in place to focus on our three areas of development: career development, community engagement, and mental performance. And each of those areas have a unique suite of services that support the student athletes, whether it's one-on-one support, team sessions and experiences, supporting our coaches, or even delivery through online platforms.
Yeah, well, so you talk about those three pillars, and there's a lot to kind of cover, I think, when you dive into exactly the branches that you guys cover. But those three pillars that you mentioned there, the career development, the community engagement, the mental performance, I guess maybe just give us a little bit on each of those because it seems like there's just so much that you could get out of that as a student athlete just on one of those pillars, let alone all three. So give us a little bit of the idea of what each of those you guys do and how the student athletes take out of that.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because this area you can work on so many aspects of holistic development, but those are really the three areas that we're working to be world class in. Let's take career development, and our ultimate outcome, our ultimate measure of success is, did we support our student athletes in developing the skills to land a golden opportunity and set them up for life? And so when they get to Cal, one of the first things we do is make sure they understand their interests and what kind of careers and jobs might be a possible great fit for them based on their strengths as well. Most often, our students land in full-time jobs. They go to grad school. About a third of our seniors go on to grad school. And we have a cohort that goes on to play professionally and continue their athletic career. And so each of those three paths we really lift up. And even our student athletes who are focused on going professional, we lift that up and support that. And then we also try to help them think about their second career one day when that comes to an end. So once they've taken their interest assessment, we get them right into our Golden Bear Network. The Golden Bear Network is our home of amazing professionals, alums, donors who have raised their hand and said, I'm going to give a Cal student athlete a mentorship opportunity. I want to provide them with a job shadow experience. I want to help them land a job. We have about 900 professionals and alums in there right now and are always looking for more. So that first year, they're plugged in right away to our network, plugged in right away to thinking about what's possible in their lives. We want to take it into small stages throughout their 4 years to make it feasible and work well with their competitive schedules. Sophomore and junior years, they can enroll in our career class, which is 2 units. They can, in that class, develop their resume, cover letter, their LinkedIn profile, find their mentor and internship. And we love that option because it sets a great base and it counts towards graduation. And then a lot of students opt into with our mentor program where we pair them with someone in their chosen field that they get to learn from. And then all along the way, we offer one-on-one support, job search assistance, getting them set with grad school. And so there's a lot of different ways to engage across the 4 years, all with that goal of setting them up for life after and ensuring we've done our work there. And a lot of our statistics are online. You can see what kind of grad schools, what kind of employers are hiring our student athletes. The average starting salary was about $83,000 for our seniors last year. So we really work hard to make sure we're understanding how our efforts are contributing towards their long-term success.
Well, and it sounds like to me and when I think of this, there's so many different student athletes out there, right? Whether it's and the level of dedication towards something like this is going to be varying, and it's got to be something unique for you and for your staff to try and rein in all the different varying levels of engagement that a student athlete may want at a varying level of point in their collegiate time. So, how do you, I guess, try and draw more interest from some that may not think that they are want to be involved in something like that? And then when they do get interested, are they engaging more? And what are you seeing from the student athletes?
Yes, just sticking with that career development pillar for a moment, we really lean on delivering at a high level, and that peer-to-peer influence is the best form
Yeah.
of recommendation. So we work hard to deliver services that our student athletes continue to come back for, and we measure that too to make sure that we're continuing to improve. What also helps is when our coaches are our champions too, and we have so many that are in front of their teams and sharing why this is important, and they've felt the positive experience themselves, or we built trust with them in a way that they advocate for that too. Uh, we also lean on others to help make referrals across the department, which is great. And we are an opt-in model, as you're alluding to. Nothing is mandated. So being able to catch them early and make sure they are aware of what's possible, developing relationships and building that rapport. And then again, just working hard to deliver well and do great work has been really supportive on the career development side in particular.
You mentioned the Golden Bear Network, which is a whole other branch to this, right? It's the online platform where there's just a bunch of access to professionals, alum, and everything. First, I want to know how can someone, if they're listening to this, saying, "Well, gosh, maybe I can help in that regard. Maybe I can be part of that network." How do they get involved there? And what have you seen from the student athletes when they realize, "Gosh, I have access to all these people that I could talk to and bounce ideas off of and network with"? What has that been like?
Yes, and this is all in addition to what our teams offer in terms of alum and
Mm-hmm.
professional connections. So we're a big support umbrella there. We would love if anybody listening isn't engaged in it yet to go to goldenbearnetwork.com and be able to register as a mentor, former alum. Even if you're not an alum of Cal and you're a professional in the community, no matter where you are in the world, we'd love to have you because it's a platform our students can search for their professionals across the nation, internationally as well, based on their industry and based on the kind of support they're seeking and find matches through the platform. It's a bit of Facebook or LinkedIn just for our Cal student athletes, if you will. And so we'd love to have anybody listening that would like to help give back, as we want every student athlete to have at least three people minimum that are slam dunks in terms of connections that fit really well for them.
I want to go back to one of those pillars too. Here, we're talking with Dr. Marissa Nichols. She's the director of the Cameron Institute. Mental performance, which
Yes.
I mean, now more than ever, it seems like student athletes and during COVID, mental side of it was so unique and such a big part of it. But the mental performance aspect and the students seeking that out and getting help both on and off the field now, because it seems like more than ever that's the more important thing.
Yes, and I have to tell you, Justin, this area wasn't actually conceptualized as part of the Cameron Institute at first. And
Mm.
when I got to Cal in 2019 and did a lot of benchmarking across the department and nationally, it just made a lot of sense to make sure we had that mental support built in. We often ask our athletes and recruits, like, what part of the game is mental to you? And based on the literature, based on their responses, 80% or more is what we usually hear. And so if we're spending all this time supporting their physical development, their technical skills, their nutrition, their strength and conditioning, why wouldn't we spend just as much time developing them mentally?
Yeah.
And this area, as you can imagine, has been such a gateway for the Cameron Institute because our coaches can see the impact right away on their bottom line. And we're so lucky to have four amazing practitioners in this part of the institute. It's more than any other school in the country is investing in right now, and they focus on performance restoration. So coming back from challenging performances, optimizing mindset, so confidence, resilience, emotional regulation. They support sport well-being. So how do you feel in your sport? Are you having fun with it still? They support team culture, developing leadership, and also helping the athletes transfer the skills that they're learning in sport to life and how that applies to
Mm-hmm.
all different settings. We also support our coaches too. They have the hardest jobs, truly, with the pressure they face. And so we see it as a system. If we can work through the coaches at the team level and then the individual level, that's really when we're seeing the most results.
Well, and it gives you an opportunity here to talk a little bit about your team because there's so many different avenues to this, or where the student athletes will have the access to what they need. First, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself, both in the educational leadership and the guidance counseling background. But you were a heck of a softball player, it sounded like, too, at UNLV. So you're speaking from athlete experience yourself and then all of the other avenues.
Yeah, thank you for that, Justin. I had a transformative experience as an athlete. A lot of highs and lows, from All-American to injuries and not really knowing who I was outside of being a great athlete. And two major lessons came to me from that. One is I was lucky to have coaches who really poured into our whole person development and really saw us as saw our potential and brought that out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw how I didn't have a lot of resources and support that I could have really leveraged to make the most of this incredible opportunity that is college athletics. And that's led me to this 13-year career doing my PhD in higher education leadership, studying what goes into having a optimal experience as an athlete and specifically things we can teach to support that experience. And then I've been in inaugural positions at three different schools now, building these kind of programs for athletic departments. My alma mater, UNLV, Boston University on a $1 million gift, and now Berkeley on a $13 million gift. And I have to say, every school is doing something like this, but we are so lucky to have the resources and support behind this from a philanthropic standpoint
Yeah.
to make it possible. And we still are trying to make it self-sustaining. So to fully endow the Institute with what we're currently doing, it's about a little over $40 million. So we're still working to raise money to make sure that this lives on um, for the rest of time, and we're in our fifth year now.
Yeah. Well, maybe talk a little bit about your team now too.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of names to mention, but talk about the team you've assembled.
As any successful entrepreneur or professional knows, the team is everything. And I feel genuinely so lucky to have the group that we have. It starts at the top with our three directors who lead each of the three pillars. Dr. Benetti Vita on our career development pillar, Jesse Stewart on our community engagement pillar, and I'd love to talk a little bit more about that if we have time, and Dr. Greg Chow, who leads our mental performance pillar. We actually just got back from his national organization where he received the highest award in applied sports psychology and gave a great keynote. And each of those directors have assembled an incredible team that supports the pillars. Um, Ryan and James do a great job with Benetti in career development. Taylor does a wonderful job with Jesse on the community engagement side. And then Lenny, Ian, and Samantha support Craig in the mental performance pillar. Diana White also oversees our operations and does advising across the Institute. So we are very lucky to have the team that we have. They are exceptional at what they do, have incredible diverse backgrounds, and we believe that helps make what we're doing even more special.
We're talking with Dr. Marissa Nichols. She's the director of Cameron Institute. Okay, I know you wanted to get to the community engagement piece of this too, and to me, that's the most external facing, right? Where if you're not necessarily involved, you're not seeing some of the career development come to life. You're not seeing some of the mental performance behind the scenes, but what you are seeing is the Bears getting out into the community and going to various events and impacting the community. So talk about that pillar.
Yes. Jesse's done such a great job making this transformational, not just transactional, which you see in a lot of different cases. There's three different entry points for our students. One is going out and learning about something one time and just getting the exposure, whether it's a food pantry or going out to read at the local elementary school. The second strand of engagement is a cycle, and that's with the entire team. And all of our teams at this point have engaged in this particular way, which is neat. Football in particular, as well as men's basketball and women's basketball, they're really actively engaged, which goes a long way as those are, our revenue generating teams. Um, what it's looked like with football is the Cal Football Reading Challenge, the Special Olympics or the Golden Buddies Olympics, where they brought in the Special Olympics and put them through a series of wellness drills. There's a lot of different teams that are engaging in this cycle where you learn about an issue, you go out into the community and do the work, then you reflect on the work, and then we tend to bring those community members into Berkeley to watch the teams play. And so it's a full cycle that we really work to prioritize. And then the third entry point is through students doing their own projects. There's a lot of different projects they've come to us with wanting to bring to life. And additionally, a class for credit. So another 1 to 3 unit class students are engaging in. We have many student athletes. This is our second semester doing it. And this is a way for them to get actual graduation credit towards giving back and using this platform for good. So really impressed with what Jesse's been able to do. As you mentioned, it's bigger than our immediate community, and we believe that it's such a platform for good.
Well, there's got to be a lot of great success stories that you encounter daily, right? Do you have any that you'd be willing to share, or anything that comes to mind that really stands out as a major success story?
Oh, I love that. We tend to capture quite a few of the testimonials in our report out each year. A couple that come to mind, though, we have some role players and star players on our football team right now, and I have to be thoughtful about
Sure,
confidentiality,
sure.
but they are like some of the most engaged in the Institute, which is incredible. And it goes to show that you can have great success as an athlete and as a person and use that platform for good. You see Fernando and Jack Endries and Miles all leading different projects in the community. You see that football has some of the highest utilization numbers for mental performance.
Mm.
And they're also working with us in the spring and off season on their careers, which is really special. Some of the success stories have come from our coaches too, who maybe weren't sure at first how it was going to work. And through the good work and through the trust and support that they've seen in their programs, they've become some of our biggest champions. So that comes to mind. And then anytime we see students reflect on how deeply impactful this was and that their experience was different because they had the Cameron Institute or they chose Cal partly because the Cameron Institute, and we collect that data too. All of those stories mean the world to us, and we want to continue to make this into the national model where every school in the country says we have to have what Cal has, and this can be such a differentiator for our university at such an important time.
All right, Dr. Marissa Nichols, the director of the Cameron Institute. Before we let you go here, I would like to remind listeners that you can go on to calbears.com. There is a full part of that website dedicated to the Cameron Institute. But how can someone listening get involved? We talked a little bit about the Golden Bear Network, but how can they get involved to help this keep going moving forward?
Yes, please reach out to either me or our Cameron Institute at berkeley.edu email if you'd like to be a mentor. So if you'd like to offer an internship, a job opportunity, we want to get you into our network. If you have a philanthropic interest in this endeavor, we'd love to work with you and appreciate your consideration and support, as this is a model that we, as mentioned, want to make self-sustaining. The other way is just spread the word. I think anytime you can tell the story of what Cal's doing and supporting the whole person in such a holistic, comprehensive way and impactful way, that goes a long way too.
All right, Dr. Marissa Nichols, the Cameron Institute Director and Associate Athletics Director, thank you so much for taking some time. That was great information.
Thank you, Justin, for the opportunity. Go Bears.
All right, excellent conversation with Dr. Marissa Nichols. Certainly loved learning about the Cameron Institute and all they have to offer and what they can do to help student athletes and how you can help them as well.